Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome back to another map tour. Today we are going on a tour of the night map, The Shard, and I hope that you guys are excited. Today we're going with one of my new Warmonger builds, the Grey Wolf. I hope you guys like the design. It looks a lot like Apollyon, so I thought it would work very well for looking at the Shard, since this was apparently Apollyon's map in the story mode. This is where she held out. This is where this was basically her citadel. So we're going to take a look around and see what all it has to offer. And remember, this is not a history-based video. This is more of a let's just take a look at the video and enjoy what we see. So let's walk around and take a look. So this area right here is kind of interesting. If we go to the far area here where this drawbridge is, you can see that we can go even further into the castle in that direction, or perhaps away from the castle. That could be our exit to the castle. But as we look along the wall here, we're seeing a lot of crates, weapon, armor, helmets. This looks like a restock and resupply depot. So it looks like this is an area where warriors would get set up to rush into the battlements, which is an interesting thing to consider since what we're looking at here is so unique. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go along the outside first, and then we'll go along the inside. And let's walk along these points. Let's look out here. I really like this look. Notice how there's all this water here, like this used to be a river or lake bed. I think that's very interesting, very unique. Now, someone pointed out that maybe this is because during the big flood event, this is just leftover residual water from the flood. I don't know. I feel like it'd make a lot more sense if this castle was just built near a lake or riverbed, because one of the things you need in a large fortification is an easy supply for water, and having a lake or river nearby would be very helpful. Now, if you look over here, you see these large rocks. These would probably be used for trebuchets or catapults, but you don't see any near here, so I wonder where the trebuchet or catapult is. I'm kind of curious about that. Maybe they're collecting the stones that have been fired at them from the trebuchets out there, but again, you don't see any trebuchets. Isn't that interesting? What you do see are siege towers. You see some siege towers. Now, they're not moving, but they are out there. Actually, if you look really far out there, you can see a watchtower, which looks pretty much destroyed. You can see the fire next to it. Looks like it was taken out, so that is kind of interesting. You can also see here that this protective wall is starting to fall, and the only thing holding it up are the chains there. But I gotta ask, what was the purpose of the chains? Is it literally just there to hold up the wall? That's an interesting way to keep the chain there. I would just tear it down and rebuild the wall, but, you know, that's just me. I do like this little wooden setup. And like I was saying, if the wall starts to fall apart, you set up a quick palisade or quick defense to protect it. And I like these little holes here, an archer's hole, so that you can actually fire arrows down at the enemy from here. So pretty cool, pretty cool. Let's keep moving. This large area here, I'm not entirely sure of the purpose of it. And what I mean by that is this: it doesn't look like this is an entryway to anything. Actually, and when we get down to the bottom here, you'll see a different entryway. So you got to wonder what this is all for. It could be, as you can see the trap doors here, it could be that what may happen is you may have caravans and large traveling traders come through here, and you may lift up some supplies up through the top here rather than carry them up the stairs. That may be what you do, but it still seems a little odd. I'll point that out. Now let's run and check out these. Here you can see a much better view of the surrounding landscape. I'm not going to lie, this looks really beautiful. This is very beautiful. But what I find so funny about it is you see so few siege towers. I mean, you see them pocketed here and there. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I see a sixth one way back there. Yeah, wait, no, there's a seventh. There's a seventh pressed up against the wall there. So 7 siege towers, no armies, no one coming. And the defense against the siege towers isn't all that great either. So you take what you can get, but I do think that's a little interesting. But I don't mind, because I can see a much better view of the overall scenery, and it is gorgeous. It looks like Valkenheim's in that direction, given the snowy peaked mountains. So, hey, we're looking to the north, baby. That's pretty cool. All right, let's head back in. I just wanted to get a better look at that. I just think that's a really cool visual. Let's head over here to where I believe the attackers would enter. We once again see a piece of the wall that is falling and the chain holding it up. This is where a siege tower has landed its payload, and all of the soldiers inside would run off. You can see some of the dead soldiers laying around from where it did that. Pretty cool. That is actually the way most siege towers would work. You'd want to push a siege tower up against a wall and then release soldiers, or at the very least use the siege tower's height to fire arrows and volleys. Actually, there's a story that during the First Crusade, Geoffrey of Bouillon actually fired a crossbow from the top of a siege tower while sieging, I think it was either Jerusalem or Acre. I can't remember. I would need to look it up again. It's been a while. Look at this. Now notice how this part of the wall has been almost completely devastated. What probably happened here was a catapult shot hit the top and rolled down and just decimated everything as it went down. You can tell from the way the wood has been splintered. So pretty crazy. Also, another thing that could have happened is the catapult hit the bottommost area and the rest of the wall crumbled underneath it. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. Now look at this right here. This is something that I do want to talk about. You'll occasionally come across these sort of weird looking wooden walls that are set up with barrels on them. I think what these are makeshift palisades. I think that they're makeshift shields, and you could line these all up together to make a makeshift shield wall that soldiers could hunker behind. Like, you could probably slide this right up right into this hole and it would make a makeshift wall or coverage. Doesn't really work well if this much wall is missing, but still. This whole area would be a great place for the siege towers to go if it wasn't for the water. Oh, look at the water animation. That's pretty cool. I didn't even notice that. That is nuts. All right, so we're having a pretty good look at the overall setup of the castle. Now, since this is the attacker zone, yeah, look back there, way back there. You can see the entrance to the castle way back there, and you also see three siege towers. So you can see why this is the attacker zone. The attackers have an easy way to get in here. So this is definitely the attacker side. Very cool. But now that we've done that, let's go this way. Look at this. You can see how the castle's been kind of built into the mountain. Look at all the rock formation. Really neat. Really neat. Huh, I wonder where the water for this comes from. Do you think that that's just drainage from rain? That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, look up there. I've talked about that angel before in a previous video. It is an angel statuette. You would see those in a lot of knight castles, particularly ones of a holy origin, because angels are seen as protectors and guides. Now look at this too. You see this makeshift bridge set up here to run between these two doorways? This actually isn't an impossibility. Sometimes you would set up these sort of bridges to be able to run between locations. So I do think that that is legit. I do think that's pretty cool. It just looks a little bit shoddy. I think that they would spend a bit more time on that. Frankie would be very disappointed. Frankie would be very disappointed.
I'm not happy with how this railing turned out.
All right, we come down here. There's a walkway up into the main battlements here. You can see some dead bodies. It looked like some people had to move some dead bodies here. So probably hiding them away so that people don't see them. Pretty gnarly. Got your two lions standing guard here. Now this is a little interesting. Let's talk about this area. This is the pit, as it were. This is actually the primary entryway into the castle. You can see the main doorway that would lead into the castle here. It's being blocked off right now, and you can see how, that's odd. What's with the arrows in the wall? Are you telling me our boys were shooting at the wall here? But anyway, so you can see how they've set up these palisades to block the door so that they can't get in. But assuming those weren't there, you would have soldiers run through here and try to get across here. These drawbridges would drop, covering the moat and allowing people into the main access point of the castle, allowing them to get into the keep. Actually, if you look up there, notice that there's some Norse ruins written up there. Now, I'm not fluent in Norse, but someone who is may be able to read those runes and tell me what they say. Let me know in the comments if you have any idea what those say. But this is pretty cool. I doubt you'd have these punji stakes here in the moat. I doubt you'd need that. A moat itself is actually pretty useful. I think what they need to do is make the moat deeper. That would be the one thing they really need to do. But this is kind of interesting. I do find it interesting that we have this unique pit to get into the main primary part of the castle. It's a pretty cool design. We come up along here, another pathway up to the main fighting area. Climb the stairs, climb the steps. Now, if we look around here, this looks like a dungeon. This looks like it would lead to a dungeon of some kind where you would keep people locked up, which, honestly, you wouldn't see this high up. You'd probably have to go lower. Now, look there. It looks like maybe the area drops off behind those cages. That may be what leads to the dungeon, because, honestly, you wouldn't have a dungeon this high up and easily accessible. Usually, you'd make those in the bottommost part of the castle where it's darker and a lot harder to reach. So yeah, a little too high up for that. Like that crest. Whose crest is that? Is that the Royal Legion's crest? Looks really cool. Maybe that's Apollyon's crest. I do not know. Moving on. Now this area is the area I think we're all familiar with because it's where most of the fighting goes down. Because when you go, because I mean you know the minion lane, but up here is where a lot of fighting happens. So let's take a look around for just a minute. Got a lot of crates lying around. The spikes here, once again, are meant to prevent you from getting into the deeper part of the castle. You know, the more I look at the Shard, the more I think that this castle was heavily inspired by Dark Souls and the like. Because the castles in Dark Souls are so intricate and so complex to get around. And I do feel like this was heavily inspired from that kind of complexity and intricacy. If you look up there, you see some makeshift windows to look down where archers could probably fire on any fighting going on in this area. You have your two Knight Angels standing there as defenders and bulwarks against the Terra. Look at the architecture there, though. Can we just take a minute to appreciate that beautiful architecture? Look, the developers of For Honor clearly put a lot of time and effort into this. It looks like a great combination between a castle and a cathedral, which is very gothic, and again, very much like what you'd see in a Dark Souls or Elden Ring game. You know, it's kind of crazy. But I do like it. I think it's really, really beautiful, and I think that they put a lot of time, effort, and energy into making this look gorgeous. Absolutely well done. Absolutely. The spikes here that lead into the deeper part, I doubt you would actually see this set up. Like, there's not a lot of necessity when you already have a palisade to keep them back, but you know, I get the added protection. So moving along, we have these interesting drawbridges that allow us to cross over the walking port, and you'll notice the drawbridges can be retracted. This part of the drawbridge looks like it folds into the base part of the drawbridge, because you can notice that this portion is smaller and could fold in so that the railing doesn't stop them. I think that's interesting. We have another doorway to walk in through here. Don't know where that leads. And we have... this area is kind of slept on. This walkover. This is kind of slept on because in Dominion, we don't have this. You do not... which is, I think, a real shame. I don't think we have this in Dominion. So because this doesn't exist in Dominion, people don't fight here. But this would be a cool place for a last stand. This feels like a Star Wars-esque kind of dueling spot. Just... I mean, no one would have the high ground, so it's an even fight. Am I right? So pretty cool there. Another drawbridge, just like the last one. Oh, that's cool. You see that little drainage area? See that little spigot underneath the window? That would be where rainwater falls out, and you can actually see the staining of mildew where rain has splashed against the rocks over the years, and thus it is stained pretty badly. You would see those in castles, although I see too many. I see 1, 2, 3, and there's a fourth one over here. Well, I see a few too many. You don't need them all in various locations like this. You would set them up probably nearer to the top where rain would catch. In fact, some of these gargoyles that you see would also act as rain drainage areas. So kind of cool. Now, I didn't notice this before. I had to be further away, but notice the chains coming from the towers to these lions. I don't see any practical use for these. I just don't. I don't see why you would use these. The chains aren't holding anything up. Is it just to look cool? Or is this entire area right here just one giant drawbridge? Like if we just pulled on a lever or something, all of a sudden all of this would be yanked upwards. Oh, that'd be kind of crazy, wouldn't it? Oh, that'd be nuts. But I do get a little nostalgic when I stand here because this is the area where the big fighting took place. This is where Apollyon lost her duel. You gotta wonder, where was Apollyon at that point? Because remember, this is where her sword fell, and this is where the samurai and knights were facing off with each other, and she threw her sword. Where was she standing? Was she at the top of that tower up there? If so, that was a really good chuck. Like, she just yeeted that thing, didn't she? Man, Apollyon got an arm on her even when she's dying. It's pretty crazy. But as you stand back and take a look at it from this distance, just look at that. I mean, it is such a large castle, and there's so much more to explore, but we only get this small area. One thing Ubisoft could probably do is maybe open up the rest of the castle for us to take a look at, instead of this one opening area. I'd love to do that. That would be fantastic. But we are almost out of time, and we've gotten to take a look at a whole lot. I really love these tours, guys. I hope you guys enjoy them, too. Thank you guys so much for watching. Next time will be a Viking map, and as always, everyone, I will see you in my next video. Take care.